Hello, third grade. Mrs. McClure here, back with reading our story, A Good Night for Ghosts. We might be finishing it up. I think if I read a little fast, we can get the last 2 chapters in. So we just left off. They're showing him the book. Let's see what's going to happen. I wonder what will happen. Here we go. Chapter 10. Thanks a million. Jack pushed his glasses into place and opened a history of New Orleans music. "What's that, man?" Dipper asked. "It's a history book," said Jack. "Teddy and Kathleen gave it to us," said Annie. "Oh, yeah, my best friends," said Dipper. Jack looked in the index of the book. He found the right page and turned to it. "I'm going to read something to you, man," said Jack. "Just listen." And Jack read, "As a young teenager, Louis Armstrong often performed with kid bands on the streets of the city. Eventually, he played with older musicians in dance halls, and he developed his musical talents performing on Mississippi riverboats. When he was 21, he moved to Chicago, where he played in the well-known band of his old friend Joe Oliver." "Joe Oliver?" said Dipper. "Joe's in that book? In that book?" "Yep. Hold on, there's more," said Jack. He read, "Over time, Louis Armstrong became world famous, but he always called New Orleans home. The city honored him by naming a large park, the Louis Armstrong Park. It also names its airport the Louis Armstrong International Airport." "What's that, International Airport?" asked Dipper. "That's where planes fly in and out from all over the world," said Annie. Dipper started laughing. "Y'all pulling my leg." "No," said Jack, "we're not. Look at this, Dipper." He held up the book and showed Dipper the picture of Louis Armstrong, the king of jazz, playing the trumpet in front of a huge crowd. "That's you, Dipper." Jack waited for Dipper to laugh and say the picture wasn't him, but Dipper stopped smiling and nodded. Yeah, I've seen that picture before," he said softly. "You have?" said Jack, stunned. "You've seen this picture before?" said Annie. "Where?" "Here." Dipper touched his chest. "Here, in my heart. It's the picture I've had in my heart for a long time, like a dream. Hey, y'all, is this a dream?" Jack and Annie laughed. Annie smiled. "Yes, you could say that," she said. "But it's a true dream," said Jack. "Keep that picture in your heart, Dipper," said Annie. "Hold it close to you, and one day you'll be living it, we promise." For a long time, the three of them just stared at the picture. When Jack looked at Dipper again, he saw tears glisten in Dipper's eyes. "Okay, I'll do that," said Dipper. He wiped his eyes with the palm of his hand. "I think I can keep my jobs and start making a little room for my music, too." "Yes," said Annie. "Maybe you should go play with the fellows on the riverboat tonight," said Jack. "Yeah, maybe I'll try and do that," said Dipper. "Great," said Annie. Jack heaved a sigh and put away their book. Dipper stood up. "But now y'all have to get going. On the eve of All Saints' Day, there's a curfew for kids under 13. They have to be off the streets by 9 or the paddy wagon will pick them up." "So you're definitely on the path to sharing your musical gifts with the world, right, man?" said Jack. Dipper laughed. "Yeah, I reckon I am," he said, "thanks to a couple of potato heads." "Okay, good," said Jack. He and Annie stood up. "To get home, we need to walk to Bourbon Street and catch a streetcar to Canal Street." "Let's go," said Dipper. The three of them left the waterfront. They walked past Jackson Square and headed past the cathedral on St. Peter Street. "I'll walk y'all back to Bourbon Street," said Dipper. "Then do you have time to ride back with us to Canal Street?" said Annie, "so we can hang out together a little longer on the train?" "You know I can't do that," said Dipper. "They won't let me sit with y'all in the streetcar." "Why not?" asked Jack. "I'd have to sit in the back while y'all sit up front," said Dipper. "What are you talking about?" said Annie. "Y'all are white. I'm black," said Dipper. "So?" said Annie. Sorry, boys and girls, my puppy just got into something he should not have. Sorry about that. "Black folks aren't allowed to sit with white folks. That's the way it is," said Dipper. "Are you kidding? That's crazy," said Annie. "No, I'm not kidding," said Dipper. He stopped walking and looked closely at Jack and Annie. "Where are y'all from? How'd you get that crazy history book with my picture in it? And why did y'all come here to find me?" "It's really, really hard to explain, Dipper," said Jack. "But just know this. One day things are going to change. Everybody will sit together on trains and buses and airplanes. And one day an African-American man will run for president of the United States," said Annie. "And millions of people of all colors will vote for him. And he'll win," said Jack. Dipper laughed and shook his head. "Okay, now I know I'm dreaming, but I really like this dream. "It's the truth," said Annie. "We promise." By now they had come to the corner of St. Peter and Bourbon Street. "This is where I leave you," said Dipper. Annie threw her arms around Dipper and gave him a big hug. "Goodbye, Dipper." Jack did the same. "Bye, man," he said. "Thanks a million." "Same to you," said Dipper. "Hey, there's your streetcar now." The streetcar glided to a stop at the corner. Jack and Annie hopped aboard and sat in front. As the streetcar went up Bourbon Street, they stuck their heads out the window and waved to Dipper. He waved back. Annie and Jack waved and waved until they couldn't see Dipper anymore. Chapter 11. Saving That Music. As the streetcar rumbled down Canal Street, Jack looked over his shoulder. Dipper was right. African Americans were sitting in the back, while only white people were in the front. Jack hadn't even noticed it on their first streetcar ride. Jack's heart felt heavy. Why would anyone not want to sit next to someone just because they are a different color, he wondered. How could anyone ever be mean to Dipper? Dipper, who is gentle and friendly and kind. Dipper, who hears music everywhere. Jack listened to the click-clack of the streetcar rolling down the tracks. The sound had a good beat. Jack tapped his hand against his knee until the streetcar came to a stop. "Let's go," said Annie. Jack and Annie stood up. Canal Street was bright with lights. People were still selling things on the sidewalk. "What time is it, please?" Jack asked the conductor. 5 minutes after 9, boy," said the conductor. "Y'all better head for home." "We are," said Annie. Jack and Annie hopped off the streetcar and started to run. They ran to the bottom of Canal Street and crossed to the palm trees in the grove near the Mississippi River. In the dark, they found the rope ladder and scrambled up it into the treehouse. Jack grabbed the Pennsylvania book that would take them home. "Wait," said Annie, looking out the windows. "Look!" A brightly lit Mississippi showboat was rolling up the river. A large paddle wheel behind the boat was churning the water. Music was coming from on board. Annie grabbed Jack's arm. "Listen, the heebie-jeebies," she said. Jack listened. He could hear the trio singing. Little Mac, Happy, Big Nose, Sydney. But the best sound of all was the bright sound of a horn sailing through the New Orleans night. "It's Dipper," said Annie. "It's got to be." "He caught the boat," said Jack, "just in time." Jack and Annie listened to the joyful swinging sound of Dipper's music until the riverboat rolled out of sight. Jack heaved a happy sigh. Then he pointed at their Pennsylvania book. "I wish we could go home," he said. The wind began to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Jack and Annie were wearing their own clothes again. Rain gently tapped against the roof of the treehouse. A cool breeze blew through the windows. "We have to get home before Mom and Dad wake up," said Annie. "Right," said Jack. He pulled a history of New Orleans music out of his backpack and left it on the floor. Annie put the trumpet beside it. Then they headed down the rope ladder. They pulled... Hold on, boys and girls. I'm sorry, boys and girls. My puppy had something in his mouth, and I had to go grab it. I'm so sorry. Then they headed down the rope ladder. They pulled up their rain hoods. As they tramped in their boots through the wet autumn woods, they were both quiet. Finally, Annie said, "I feel good." "I feel good too," said Jack. "We accomplished our mission." "But I feel other things too," said Annie. "I feel mad that Dipper couldn't sit on the streetcar with us." "Me too," said Jack. "And it wasn't just in New Orleans. A long time ago, they had laws like that in a lot of places." "Unbelievable," said Jack. "Yeah," said Annie. "And I feel scared when I think of those spiders and their webs," said Annie. "Oh, they didn't bother anyone," said Jack. "But I still feel scared when I think of ghosts." "Actually, they didn't bother anybody either," said Annie. "True," said Jack, "and neither did that bat." Annie laughed. "That's true, too," she said. "I feel sad that we'll never see Dipper again." "We can listen to his music," said Jack. "Yeah, I guess the music all around us will always make us think of him," said Annie. "Like right now, Dipper would hear the music of the rain." "Tappity, tap, tap," said Jack. "And the music of our feet scrunching over the dead leaves," said Annie. "Scrunchity, scrunch, scrunch," said Jack. "Patty, pat, pat," sang Annie. "Skidat, dee-dat," sang Jack. "Skidat, dee-doo," sang Annie. "Go, Mama, go," shouted Jack. And the two of them ran out of the Frog Creek woods and up their street, headed toward home. Well, that's it, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this story. I know I did, learning about Louis Armstrong and New Orleans and his jazz music. So stay tuned to see what we'll be reading next. Have a great day.